All right, good morning, councillors. I'll open this morning's meeting at 9:05 a.m. Thanks very much for your attendance. I'll ask for any leave of absences. Councillor Hancock.
I move that apologies be received and leave of absence granted for Councillor Taylor for this meeting.
I have a seconder for that. Councillor Brumpton. Does the mover wish to speak?
No, thank you.
I'll put that. All in favour? Against?
Yes.
That's carried. I'd now like to read a statement if I can. Councillors, Mayor Taylor has informed Council that she will be taking a period of leave following the sudden and tragic loss of her beloved husband, Peter Taylor. During this time as Deputy Mayor, I'll be stepping in as Acting Mayor until Wendy is ready to resume her duties. On behalf of the entire Maranoa community, I offer our most sincere condolences on the passing of Peter. Peter Taylor was a deeply loved son of Mrs. Dawn Andrews, a devoted husband to Wendy, an adored dad to their girls, Sam, Nick and Kylie, and a cherished Poppy to their beautiful grandchildren. He was a great mate to so many. Peter was a pillar of the Maranoa business community, a true local identity, and his loss will be felt deeply across our region. Just a few months ago, Peter stood in this very chamber, here to my right, beaming with pride as Mayor Taylor chaired her first meeting of the new council. It's been a privilege to watch Peter's unwavering support for Mayor Taylor, their enduring partnership that has seen them raise their three girls and build their businesses from the ground up. Each of us in this chamber will agree that Peter was a welcome sight at any event, a warm and friendly character, so enjoyable to be around. Just this month, both Peter and Wendy volunteered at the Roma show by manning the entry gates and greeting locals and visitors as they enjoyed this year's event. Peter was hardworking, humble, generous and kind, a true gentleman. He will be terribly missed by us all. The entire council stands united behind Mayor Taylor, offering our full support and heartfelt condolences to her and the Taylor and Andrews family during this incredibly difficult time. In accordance with Mayor Taylor's wishes, the business of council will continue without interruption. Mayor Taylor will remain informed of council matters, especially as we prepare for the upcoming council budget. Councillors and staff, I ask as a mark of respect for Peter Taylor and the Taylor family that we stand and we pause for a minute's silence. Thanks very much, councillors. I'll now adjourn the meeting for a short break. We'll resume the meeting, and item 3 is confirmation of minutes from the ordinary meeting of the 7th of May 2024. Is there someone willing to move? Councillor Vincent.
Yeah, I'm happy to move this one. Just with the amendment on page 12C.2, item number point 3, the word within changed to with, so that the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 7th of May be confirmed, including the following amendment. read that, Cal? Yep. Page number 12, item C.2, lease of Paddock 9 Dalgall Road, Roma, resolution number OM/05.2024/13.3, replace the word within with the word with.
Thanks, Councillor Vincent. Is there a seconder for that motion? There is. Councillor Seawright. Does the mover wish to speak? No. They do not. I'll put that. All in favour? Against? Sorry, I'll do that again. All in favour?
Yes.
Against? That's carried. Item number 5 on the table, 5.1, material change of use, dwelling, house, domestic outbuilding.
I'm happy to move.
You're happy to move, Councillor Burkett?
Yeah, I'd like to move that the development application for a material change of use for a dwelling house, domestic outbuilding located at 5 Appleby Close, Roma, described as Lot 3 on SP 180953, be approved subject to the listed conditions and general advice.
Thanks, Councillor Burkett. Is there a seconder? There is. Councillor Hancock. Does the mover wish to speak?
I just think this was a no-brainer for me. I think there's a precedent's been set around the town. I know we've got to follow some legislation, but I think this is the right move forward, and I think the owners of the residents will be very happy.
Thanks, Councillor Burkett. Is there a speaker against? Does anyone else wish to speak, or are there any questions? Councillor Brumpton?
I just have a question through the Chair, Kate. In the alternate resolution, with the use of the approved domestic outbuilding must be for residential purposes only. I just note in the application they were talking about use for storage of business vehicles. Is that something that needs to be clarified?
So if their use in the terms of the storage of business vehicles is compliant with a home-based business, then that's still considered residential activities.
Councillor Hancock?
I'd like to speak.
Please go ahead.
I'd just like to acknowledge that the officer's recommendation was not to comply because it is in line with our planning scheme, and we acknowledge that. But for me as a councillor, I'm willing to support the resolution that Councillor Burkett has put forward, because I think that we've been on site, we went and had a look, and I think it adds to the livability of our region. And as Councillor Burkett has said, we have seen these across the town as before, and for something like this, I do think it's a case-by-case decision, and so happy to support the resolution.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. Anyone else wish to speak? I'll speak. I'm going to speak in favour of this. I too am pleased that Council took the time to go out on site to have a look at this particular development, and I understand the planning scheme. I respect the planning scheme, but in light of being on site and having a look at the setbacks that will be which will occur when this development comes to fruition, I'm comfortable that this is the right decision. I fully support it. Anyone else wish to speak? Does the mover wish to sum up?
I think it's all been said. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Burkett.
Excuse me, through you, Chair. Were you looking to provide a statement of reason for this?
We'll do that after the vote, Chair.
Okay.
Thanks very much, Kel. I'll put that to the vote. All in favour?
Yes.
That's carried.
I've got an idea.
Councillor Hancock?
For a statement. Statement is that Council believes this adds to the livability of the region. Would you agree?
I'm comfortable with that. Councillor Burkett, as the mover, are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. We'll move on now to item number 8.1. Purchase of mayoral road.
Mayor, what was the vote?
Vote was 8-0. Thanks, Councillor Flynn. Item 8.1, purchase of mayoral robe and chain. Is there a mover? Councillor Davis?
I move that
Council investigate the cost to purchase a mayoral robe and chains, and a further report be provided outlining the options and associated costs.
Thanks, Councillor Davis. Is there a seconder? There is. Councillor Vincent. Does the mover wish to speak?
No.
Is there a speaker against? Does anyone wish to speak?
Yeah, I'll speak.
Councillor Vincent?
Yeah, I'm more than happy to support the investigation of the cost to purchase mayoral robe and chains. Yeah, I just think it's a nice thing to do for those special occasions, and I'd like, it's an investigation, so yeah, happy to support it.
Councillor Brumpton?
I just had a query wondering if Maranoa Council never had a set of robes and chains, and considering we're an amalgamation of all those other councils, is there historic copies of all of those? Would they have been in existence? I would have thought there would have been in the past history. I'm wondering what may have happened.
I think that the answer to your initial question, did Maranoa Regional Council ever have robe and chains? Answers no. I am of the understanding that Roma Town Council at some point did have chains. I suspect there were robes as well. There are members of our community that have raised this with me, and obviously they've raised it with Councillor Taylor as well. As for the other former shires, I'm not aware, but I would have thought in terms of investigating the cost of the mayoral robes and chains, that would be an important element to bring back to the chamber. Any other questions, Councillor Hancock, or you wish to speak? Yep. So Councillor Hancock first.
Yeah, I'm going to support this because it is just an investigation. This is off the back of community inquiring about this. And for me, this is not about making the mayor feel important. This is actually about making the community feel important at those special events when it is appropriate to wear the robes and chains to make the people who are having those ceremonies, it's about making them feel important. This is not about making the mayor feel important. So I will fully support the investigation of the costs that it would be for mayoral robes and chains.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. Councillor Burkett, are you speaking for or against?
Oh, just more of a statement. I'll support this. I'm on the fence with all this, and I've had a lot of feedback probably the other way, but as it's only an investigation, I'll support that, but I'm definitely on the fence with it.
Anyone else wish to speak? I will. I'll support this today. I mean, it's very clear that it's an investigation into the cost of purchase of a mayoral robe and chains. I think the flavour is very much about understanding the history of that in our part of the world as well. I've seen those ceremonial events in other councils where the mayor has worn a robe and chain or just the chains, and it is really special, particularly at the citizenship ceremonies. And I credit Mayor Taylor for bringing this to the table. As I said earlier, community members in Roma have raised this as something of interest, and I know Mayor Taylor has obviously had queries from the community about a desire, at least for council, to consider whether this is something going forward we should have as part of the ceremonial aspects of Maranoa Regional Council. So I'm more than happy with us investigating what the cost would be, and I would hope if it got to the point where we are considering the next steps, that there may in fact be local businesses that could provide the regalia attached to the robe and the chains. Does anyone else wish to speak? Does the mover wish to sum up? No. I'll put it to the vote. All in favour?
Yes.
Against? That's carried 8-0. Next item is 10.1. Request for speed limit review on Warrego Highway, Cambridge Street through the town of Mitchell. Do I have a mover?
I'm happy to move.
Thanks, Councillor Burkett.
I'm happy to move. I'd like to move that Council 1 receive and note the correspondence from the Bringa Action Group regarding concerns with the current speed limit through the town of Mitchell. 2, advocate to the Department of Transport and Main Roads to undertake a speed limit review with the view of reducing the speed limit on the Warrego Highway, Cambridge Street through the town of Mitchell.
Thanks, Councillor Burkett. Is there a seconder? There is. Councillor Vincent. Councillor Burkett, would you like to speak as the mover?
Yes, thank you. I know this has been the topic on most small towns in our region, and it definitely has in the Mitchell community for a long period of time, and I know we've advocated for it in the past. One positive move forward was the school getting it reduced to a period of time in the morning and afternoon near the school and the park, which has been a great addition to the safety aspect. But with the triples coming through town at 60 kilometres an hour, sometimes more, it's only a matter of time before something happens. So I think now that we've introduced the 40 kilometres to a certain extent, I think it just makes sense to extend it all the way through. And I think it's not only safe, but it just makes it a lot easier for the elderly or people learning to drive to park in the main street, or people that are not used to reverse parking even, just mainly the safety aspect. So I'm fully supportive of this.
Thanks, Councillor Burke. Is the speaker against? Anyone else wishes to speak? Councillor Vincent.
Yes, I'd just like to acknowledge Bringa Action Group for bringing this forward. I know what the positive and appreciation that's come out of the Indian community from the lowering to 50 kilometres an hour. So I'm fully supportive of this to go to advocate on Bringa Action Group and Mitchell itself.
Thanks, Councillor Vincent. Councillor Hancock.
Yeah, happy to just add to that. Happy to support this, and I think it's definitely worth our while to advocate on behalf of the Mitchell community. We've seen that the advocating on behalf of the Strat community and Indian community has brought a positive impact to those towns of reducing the speed. So I'd hope that we'll have the same positive outcome for the town of Mitchell.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. Anyone else wish to speak? Does the mover wish to sum up?
Yes, thanks, Chair. I'd just also like to acknowledge not only the Mitchell community, but definitely Bringa Action Group. Ex-councillor John Ford brought it up at the last meeting, but I think if we're successful this, we've definitely got to really push for Yulbar. Yulbar's been the forgotten one with this, so I'm hoping that if this is successful, we can put all our efforts behind that, because that's the one with all the issues, and it's been fell on deaf ears. So, yeah, thank you.
I'll put the motion. All in favour?
Yes.
That's carried 8-0. Next item, 10.2, Community Safety Videos, Official Launch Planning. Is there a mover? Councillor Hancock.
Happy to move. I just got a quick question.
Please go ahead.
Do we, CEO, do we have any dates in mind?
I was sorting it probably just before the September school holidays. Like I think it'd be good to launch these videos just prior to like a particular event, and I think school holidays is always a good time when there's more vehicles on. So I was probably going to keep it. I did outline it in the report just around having not an exact date, but I thought we could reach out to the dignitaries outlined in the recommendation just to see if, rather than lock one in and say this is the day, we might be able to be a bit flexible and get the most attendance possible.
Yeah, because they do like that, to give them a range of dates to be able to choose from, and then we'll come back to us. So yeah, not locking in any particular date, and it'll still come back to the chambers when we, obviously, through a diary meeting as to what date.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Happy to move.
Go ahead.
I move that Council 1 receive and note the report by way of update to the project. 2, authorise the Mayor to extend invitation for the official launch of the community road safety videos to the following members of Federal and State Parliament: Honourable David Littleproud MP, Minister for Transport and Main Roads, Bart Malish MP, Minister for Police and Community Safety, Mark Ryan MP, Member for Warrego, Miss Anne Lay.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. Is there a seconder? There is. Councillor Brumpton.
Just have one question, sorry.
Councillor Hancock.
Authorise the Mayor, that you're acting Mayor, so that gives you the delegation. Yeah, just making sure we got that right. Yep.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock.
Yep.
Would you like to speak?
Yes, please. I actually want to congratulate the Acting Chief Executive Officer on this. This is amazing. A project that we really got behind earlier last term, and it's so good to see it finished. I just think it's a credit to you, CEO Cam, and your team. It is really something special, and I hope that after the launch that we can actually promote it to maybe different regions of council and so other people can get on board with this initiative, because it's a great use of the funding that we were provided. And congratulations to you and your team. It's a job really well done.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. Is there a speaker against? Does anyone wish to speak? I do not. I'll put it to the vote. All in favour?
Yes.
Carried 8-0. Item 10.3, policy review, expenses reimbursement and provision of facilities councillors. Is there a mover? There is. Councillor Vincent.
Do I move it first or ask for something to be removed first?
You can.
Move it with amendment?
You can.
Okay. I move that council adopt, I'll need to adopt the updated expenses reimbursement policy with amendment to page 52 and over to 53 in regards to the legal costs, with the legal costs for advice being obtained by the Mayor directly at his discretion on behalf of council. I would like to see that section removed.
That's the only amendment.
Yes, yep.
Thanks, Councillor Vincent. Do you want to read the...
For you, Kel. 2, rescind all previous policies. 3, update council's website with the adopted policy in accordance with section 251 of the Local Government Regulation 2012.
Thanks, Councillor Vincent. Is there a seconder? There is. Councillor Hancock. Would the mover like to speak?
No, thank you.
Would anyone like to speak? You will. Councillor Hancock.
Yeah, I support the recommendation that Councillor Vincent's put up with the amendment. That piece of the policy was put in under last term. I actually didn't agree with it going in under last term, and I still don't agree with it being in there, so I thank you for moving that with that amendment. I think that if the Mayor needs legal advice on behalf of the council, that should be shared with council, and we should then know what that legal advice is that's being sought and what the outcome of that was. Last term of council, we never knew what legal advice was sought via the Mayor, and we didn't know the outcomes of that. And so I think that there is other ways that the Mayor can get legal advice for themselves and on behalf of their council, and it should always be on behalf of the council that the legal advice is sought and that we get the response to it.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Brumpton.
I am fully supportive of the amendment and what we have reviewed on this policy. We've compared it with like councils and with what is generally acceptable in terms of its expense reimbursement for councillors, and I believe that some of the tidying up of the wording means that it remains current when we're just referring to an ATO directive rather than putting an amount in there, so it doesn't have to keep coming back for review. So I think it's well and truly in accordance with our duties and with what other councils do in terms of expense reimbursement.
Thanks, Councillor Brumpton. Any other councillors wish to speak? I'll speak. I'm in favour of the resolution, and thank you, Councillor Vincent. I reviewed the document and I missed that, and I'm pleased you did raise that. So I'm very supportive of seeing it removed. As Councillor Hancock has already articulated, there are mechanisms for councillors and the Mayor to seek legal advice, and that's through the CEO. And in the event that there is advice that's required just for councillors, that there is mechanisms to be able to seek that advice for us as well as elected officials. So a great pickup. I think this is a tighter expenses policy, given that we have taken the time to review it. It feels like it's fit for purpose for today. I do believe that we need to have a look at it in 12 months' time around some of the provisions of resources. I think as councillors take on portfolio roles in the beginning of the new financial year, that there will be additional travel to fulfil those obligations, leading those thematic areas of council. I do think it would be prudent of us to review what the resources are around the allocation of vehicles to ensure that the policy is fit for purpose and we are getting the best outcome and value for money for our ratepayer. But I'm happy with it as it stands today. I welcome the addition of the facilities adjacent to the council chamber being allocated to the use of councillors. It will be of great benefit as you fulfil your obligations in your councillor roles, but also as portfolio chairs for the thematic areas of council in the new financial year, to have a space where you can meet with stakeholders and know that facility is available for councillors to do that during the business week. I think that is really important. So I welcome that change. But I'm also mindful that this is a new term of council and we are starting to bed down how we operate. Policies are great until they're not. And if there are provisions within the expenses policy that become not fit for purpose, then we should review it at the time to make sure that it is working for us to be able to fulfil the duties that the community of the Maranoa have elected us to do. So I am wholly supportive of this adopting our policy here today. Any other councillors wish to speak? Does the mover wish to sum up?
No, I just agree with all the points. Yes, from putting in the ATO, just referring to a current document without having to change it each time. The availability of the retreat for us to meet people and also to be able to go and sit and read papers should we be in town. Yeah, so it's good to have it reviewed and working for us.
Thanks, Councillor Vincent. I'll put the motion. All in favour?
Yes.
Carried 8-0. Item 11.1, Local Government Remuneration Commission schedule commencing the 1st of July 2024. Is there a mover? There is. Councillor Hancock.
I move that council receive and note the findings of the Local Government Remuneration Commission's review. Do we actually have to act?
Yeah, I was just wondering that. This in turn...
We accept that council receive and note and accept the findings of the Local Government Remuneration Commission's review.
But there's just on page 63, down the bottom, if what you're looking at is dot point 2.
Oh, righto. Sorry.
So it could be that council 1 receive and note the findings of the, and then number 2 implementation of the remuneration. Yep.
It's on page 63, Kel. Sorry.
Councillor Hancock.
Sorry, I'll just do that again. That council receive and note the findings of the Local Government Remuneration Commission's review, number 1, and number 2, implementation of the remuneration recommendations for the Mayor, Deputy Mayor and councillors as issued by the Local Government Remuneration Commission in its report issued 15th of December 2023.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. Is there a...
The reason I was, I could say that word. I was just trying to, it shouldn't be implementation, it should be that council implement. That's right. Thanks, Kel.
You clear, Councillor Hancock?
Yep. Thank you.
Is there a seconder for the motion? There is. Councillor Brumpton. Councillor Hancock, do you wish to speak?
I do. Thank you.
Please go ahead.
It should be no surprise that I'm happy to move the recommendations from the review committee regarding remuneration of Mayor, Deputy Mayor and Councillor. I've supported the review committee's recommendation every year for the last term, and I support it again today. In election, we said that we were going to try, that I was passionate about taking the politics out of the chambers. And for me, this is an exact example of taking the politics out of the chambers. This review should not be about politics. This review is about an external organisation who sets the remuneration for Mayor, Deputy Mayor and Councillors right across Queensland. They did that to take the politics out of the chambers so that councillors and mayors and deputy mayors weren't setting their own remuneration. And so I believe that this decision isn't just about this term of council, it's about setting up our council and our region for the future. We should be paying our mayor, deputy mayor and councillors as we should be paying them what they have set, because that's what they deserve to get paid to do the job. We want to encourage community members to step up and take on roles, to be in this chamber. And to do that, we have to have a wage that reflects the job that they're doing. My personal opinion is it's the review committee's job to set our wage, not our job. Our job is to get paid and get on with doing the job that the community has put us here to do. And that's not setting our own wage. And that's why I believe in the resolution that's been put forward today and accept the committee, the review committee, and what they put forward for the remuneration of Mayor, Deputy Mayor and Councillors.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. Any other councillors wish to speak?
I'm going to speak against the motion. I think at the moment its cost of living is still high, and I think for the general rate pace that's a concern. We don't just do this job for the wage, the money alone. There's a lot of staff that are all looking for wage increase that I get feedback all the time. If there had to be an increase, maybe slightly just under the CPI, but I won't be supporting it as is.
Thanks, Councillor Burkett. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Brumpton?
Yes, I'd like to speak for the motion. As agreeing with Councillor Hancock, this is set independently. I believe we need to take the populist opinion out of some of these things. It's set there for a reason so that there is equitable remuneration across similar sized councils. In terms of our own staff and other staff in other organisations, there are wage rate determinations. I understand council staff have had an EBA increase and have had successive ones as time progresses. So this is not setting our own salaries, and I believe from reading this that actually we would automatically be paid it. It's only by resolution that we reduce it. So in terms of how this is normally applied across councils, it just normally happens that you get paid the remuneration as set by the independent tribunal. And I agree, we're not in it for the money. We do a lot of hours after hours and don't get paid overtime and things like that. It is a reasonable amount to be paid for the amount of work we do, though, I believe. But I do believe that we should be remunerated the same as other similar councillors and as what is set by an independent tribunal.
Thanks, Councillor Brumpton. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Davis?
Thank you. I'll speak for the motion. The issue of councillor pay should transcend politics. It's about recognising the importance of the role is in ensuring the well-being and prosperity of our community. By adequately compensating councillors, we can attract diverse and qualified candidates and individuals who are truly committed to serving for the public good, rather than those who are just financially able to do so. Let us set aside the last 4 years and focus on what truly matters, ensuring that our councillors can afford to serve without sacrificing their own financial stability. It's time to take the politics out of this. The rate is set by an independent commission, which my fellow councillors have said, and I'll be voting in support of this motion today, and for the councillors at this table and also for the ones that come after us.
Thanks very much, Councillor Davis. Is there any other councillors who wish to speak? I'll speak. I'm going to speak in favour of this as well. And I'm going to channel my comments as well as some sentiments that Mayor Taylor had expressed around this particular issue as well. Councillor Brumpton, you are 100% correct. The Remuneration Tribunal's recommendations are automatically adopted on the 1st of July unless there is a resolution contrary to that comes through a council meeting. The Independent Remuneration Tribunal was put in place before amalgamation so that the setting of annual salary was not something that was borne by the people that were elected by their community. It was introduced to have an arm's length away from what can be a challenging decision. And there is a lot of rigour put around the assessment of the Remuneration Tribunal now, and we are benchmarked on the complexities of our region, the size of our region, our population, the industries that make up our region, the demographics that are our region, and that's benchmarked for ourselves, but it's benchmarked across other local governments in Queensland, and that's why there are differing categories that the Remuneration Tribunal has recommended. And in fact, there was significant changes to the categories in the 2023 report, which we have now moved from Category 3 to what is known now as Category B2. And all of those councils are listed in the report. And when you look at those councils, they are very similar in size and demographic and complexities to Maranoa Regional Council. And so I have faith that the Remuneration Tribunal is doing the work that they have been tasked to do, enshrined in legislation, to assess the remuneration schedule of local governments across the state. Mayor Taylor spoke to me in the last few weeks about this matter coming to council because she and all of us campaigned on an open and transparent Maranoa Regional Council. And therefore she wanted that decision to come before this chamber, and so that a decision will be known to the community on this particular matter, because for the last 4 years there was significant debate around this issue, and it was incredibly political, in my opinion. And so by bringing this forward this year, it is open and transparent to our community about the recommendation that's been made by the independent tribunal. The salaries of Maranoa Regional Council was frozen for 4 years. There weren't any incremental increases. There weren't CPI. There weren't just below CPI increases. It was frozen. At some point, there is a too large a gap, and that point has been reached. This will be an equalisation to where the Independent Tribunal believes B2 councils, of which Maranoa Regional Council is part of, fits. And so I am comfortable today to support the recommendation. And I know the community that have spoken to me about this, because whilst it was played out for the last 4 years, there are a lot of people that believe councillors should be paid what the Independent Tribunal believes they should be paid, and that they should work damn hard for the remuneration that is set, and for the expectations that our community has of what their councillors will do, their deputy mayor will do, and what their mayor will do to represent them as their elected councillors for this term of council. So I am fully supportive of this, and I encourage all councillors to support this today and to take the politics out of this issue, and we can move forward knowing that we have the faith of the community that have put us here to do the job, to be paid accordingly, and they will get value for money from the people that they've entrusted to make the decisions for them for the next 4 years, and we will work hard each and every day to do just that. Are there any other councillors that wish to speak? Does the mover wish to sum up?
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock.
Yeah, I do acknowledge that there is our cost of living at the moment is affecting everyone. We're part of this community as well. So the people sitting around this table, the cost of living affects us as well. Our staff get EBA rises, and that's set out in our planning, and we would not expect our staff to work under award wages. So therefore, I don't believe any staff member or any community member would expect their councillors to work under award wages. And that is what we've been doing for the last 4 years. And so we did promise to be open and transparent to our community, and we could have just put this through we could have just accepted it. But we will be open and transparent, and we will explain to the community why we're doing it. The reason we are doing this is because this is the right thing to do. Our community does not expect us to work for them and to work really hard for them. They do expect us to work really, really hard for them, and we are willing to do that. They don't expect for us to do that and receive under award wages. So I believe that the reason that there is such a large increase at this moment is because for the last 4 years we have been working under award wages. I think we need to equal this out, take the politics away from us, pay us what the Commission has deemed that we should be paid, and we need to just get on and work really hard for our community doing what they expect us to do.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? And against?
Against.
That's 7-1. Carried. I'll now move to item 11.2. Audit Committee Terms of Reference and Appointment of External Members. Councillor Misnet,
I just got a question.
please go ahead.
Just with point 5 of the recommendation, will this need to come back to council at some stage before the external members can be hired? Is that going to be an issue?
CEO.
Yeah, so through the chair, Councillor Vincent, if I could just ask, we're just about to circulate just a couple of amendments to the proposed policy, and just wondering whether council, out of respect, lay it on the table to later in the meeting, have a chance just to have a quick look at. We have worked up a slightly different resolution, and yeah, we got some advice this morning that we just needed to confirm. So if that's okay,
Councillor Brumpton.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if we could lay it on the table for further information.
You're moving. We lay it on the.
Please, that we can lay it on the table.
Councillor Brumpton moves. We lay it on the table later
in the meeting,
Yep.
Following receipt of further information from officers.
I'll put that. All in favour?
Yes.
That's carried 8-0. We'll come back to that. Next is item 11.3. Monthly financial report as at the 30th of April 2024. Mover or questions, whatever people want to start with. Someone to move?
I'll move
Councillor Flynn.
that council receive and note the monthly financial report for the period ended the 30th of April 2024.
Thanks, Councillor Flynn. Is there a seconder? Councillor Hancock. Are there any questions people have, or would the mover like to speak?
I'd just like to note the financial report for the month and note that we have had some discussions with regard to some of the matters involved in that report, including financial assistance grants and flood funding that the Maranoa Regional Council has received.
Thanks, Councillor Flynn. Councillor Vincent.
Just got a question, if I may.
Please go ahead.
Through you. Can I just get the explanation with the rates write-off provision of 6 million in December and reversed in March?
Yes, that
Councillor, that was in relation to a particular issue we had with an individual ratepayer, and we've had some extensive discussions and backwards and forwards around them catching up on their outstanding debts that they haven't paid for the last probably 4 or 5 years, and it equates to that particular amount of money. We came to an arrangement as of 1 July last year, and therefore, because that payment arrangement was agreed to, we we consulted with the external auditors extensively around whether we should provision for that or not. We came to the conclusion we did not need to provide for that because they agreed to the repayment plan. Since then, they reneged on that repayment plan, and we were then forced to disclose the fact of what that financial impact would be on the organisation. On the 3rd of, I think it was 10th of November last year, that organisation went into liquidation, and they have since reformed, and we've gone to extensive discussions around them continuing to operate within the region, and they have come to the party with regards to a repayment arrangement, and they have been keeping to that payment arrangement. I can't remember, we just received an email just the other day saying they've been keeping up with that payment arrangement, which has been an outstanding job on their part to meet to their commitments. Therefore, what we're saying is that that provision is not required at this particular point in time. I also caution you that the next commitment they have, that is a very large commitment, will be in about September, end of September. So that'll be probably the final big hurdle that they've got to try and meet in order to stick to what the repayment plan is about. And hopefully with that repayment plan in place, they'll be caught up to speed by the end of December this year, which will be an outstanding thing. And I think it's their commitment to the region and to council that they have an obligation to pay their rates.
Any other questions? Any councillors wish to speak? No, I'll put the motion. All in favour?
Yes.
That's carried 8-0.
1, 2, 6.
Item 11.4, annual review of procurement policy. Another mover. Councillor Brumpton.
I move that Council 1 approve the amended procurement policy as presented. 2, rescind all previous policies. 3, update Council's website with the adopted policy in accordance with Section 251 of the Local Government Regulations 2012. 4, request a policy development workshop or briefing be scheduled following the adoption of the 2024-25 budget to undertake a more detailed review of Council's procurement policy.
Thanks very much, Councillor Brumpton. Is there a seconder?
I'll second, but I also have a question.
Councillor Flynn seconds. You've got a question?
Yeah. With regard to matters in council, I thought it was previous policy that we noted or read the executive summary before moving the officer's recommendation. I may be wrong, but I just thought that, I think in cases like this, that gives, while it's in the minutes for people to read, it certainly makes the legal part of recommendations like this a little bit more transparent.
It hasn't been, I can't recall it ever being practiced that the executive summary is read out.
Because it's an open paper.
I may be wrong, but I thought that was part of the mayoral duty to, and this is a long one, but to mention the actual subject.
Yeah, I did. Annual review of procurement policy is the subject heading. And that's what I read out at 11.4.
Yeah,
but it's not the no. It's not. It's not common practice for the executive summary to be read out. Okay. You're still happy to second?
I'm still happy to second, but yeah, I just think it's probably better practice that we do it that way.
Yeah, I suppose the difference now, Councillor Flynn, to previous terms, which you and I have shared the chamber in, I mean, the meeting is now recorded, and so people that are watching the proceedings, you're right, may not quite understand it, but this is an open agenda, and it will be in the minutes, and even anyone's following the agenda will be able to read the executive summary. But I can't remember in my 12 years that the mayor or a councillor reading out the executive summary, but the subject heading. But some of that flavour, of course, comes out when the mover speaks to the motion. Councillor Brumpton, do you wish to speak?
Yes, I do. And certainly to reinforce Councillor Flynn's discussion. I mean, there's a reason that we've done this like this. The policy has to be reviewed each financial year. This currently is being reviewed in the current financial year, but we do wish to do a more detailed review in the 2024-25 financial year. So at the moment we're presenting it with these minimal changes, but as a new councillor we will review the full policy as early as practical in the new financial year also.
Thanks, Councillor Brumpton. Any other councillors wish to speak? No? I mean, for context, that you are right. This should have been reviewed in July of 2023. From my reading, it wasn't. So we are adhering to that legislative requirement that we review it annually, albeit awfully late. But we will be bringing this back for a thorough review of this term of council in July once we get through the budget. So I hope that gives some level of context, Councillor Flynn, that you were looking for. Does anyone else wish to speak? They don't. Does the mover wish to sum up? I'll put the motion. Those in favour?
Yes.
That's carried 8-0. Item 13.1. Request for access road construction to lot 76 and 78 on plan M5332 Hodson. Is there a mover? All questions? Mover, Councillor Hancock.
I move that Council 1 receive and note the letter from the landholder in relation to this matter. 2, approve the construction of a formed road to access lot 76 and 78 on plan M5332 with costs to be drawn from existing operational budget. I'll come back with a question for that. Number 3, note the constructed access provides limited benefit to the public and as such will not be included on the Council's road register.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. I'll just seek a seconder.
Yep.
Councillor Vincent, you're happy to second?
Yeah, I've got some questions
But you're happy to second? Yep. Councillor Hancock?
Sorry.
You go ahead.
Just in relation to that, CEO, just double checking, is this really an operational thing or is it actually a capital? Because we're actually making the road better, aren't we? We're forming it up.
Yeah, through the chair, Councillor, the proposal is just to essentially form it up. Generally that's considered operational. If you start putting gravel on, obviously the cost starts to increase significantly in that. So
it's just really grading the black soil and...
It essentially is, yeah, the recommendation is for that. So, but yeah, Director Lee, if there's anything else, is that pretty right, mate?
Yeah, that's correct, and relatively minor outlay to deliver the road to the property.
Yeah, I noticed that in the costings. And you have money in your budget to be able to do it?
Yes.
At this end of the year? Just double checking. Do we need a GL? We might need a GL number.
Absolutely.
Any other questions, Councillor Hancock?
That's my question.
Councillor Vincent?
Yeah, I've just noticed that the resident needs to do a survey plan, but there's no mention of council having to do a survey plan. And if so, is that included in the $5,000?
No. So when we execute the works, we'll identify the road parcel and the boundary. The survey plan in that policy is council's way to ensure that the road is in that corridor that that applicant has located it centrally. I think if we were looking to deliver a road onto the register and have the as constructed, we would be requesting the survey plan as part, like when we do a capital upgrade as well, we get a final pick-up of that road and it's sort of geometrics. Yeah.
And my other question is, I know, with the popularity of Hodson in here, that there's more and more people buying out there and doing similar things. And according to the policy, we have to be consistent each time. Do you foreshadow other roads like this that could appear?
Thank you for the question. Absolutely. The issue we face with Hodgson is the initial subdivisions are very old, like 1872, I think, was when those lots were surveyed out. So currently when we have a subdivision, we condition people to, construct road accesses and that. This is very old subdivisions. So as that area, increases in popularity, I believe we will have more similar sort of requests. And we've had requests previously where, we've gone and done different, action different requests. So, yeah, to answer your question, yes, I do believe we will have this come up more and more as that area grows.
Any other questions, Councillor Vincent?
No.
No. Councillor Davis?
Can I ask a question just regarding, under the context, the assistance from council under a private works agreement, is that private works traditionally is funded in some by the applicant? This is the applicant putting any money as described under this private works arrangement?
So in that context, in the applicant's letter, which should be attached to the report, the applicant requested consideration for a private works agreement to scratch up A access, but the main body of the request was that a all-weather access road placed on council's register be considered. Yep. So the resolution as it's drafted there makes no allowance for the applicant to contribute under a private agreement.
Could I maybe ask the mover if they were happy to put the $5,000 in the resolution?
Yep, I was going to come back, so yeah, happy to. Can I just put up to $5,000? Because I do think we need to put the costing in there.
Any further questions, Councillor Davis?
No, thank you.
Anyone else have questions?
I have a further question.
You have a further question, Councillor Hancock?
Sorry, through the chair, Director Lee, I think I've read it right, but I just want to make sure. They have no other access, is there? Is there only access? I've just been looking at the map.
Yes, there's two, the grey areas on the map are the allotted road reserves there, so they could access off Hodgson Lane North and come in, head west off Hodgson Lane North to access those lots, or they come south off Bindango Road. So there's two possible routes. When the officers looked at it, they deemed that probably coming off Bindango Road was the preferred option in terms of sort of being able to give the best road and also at least impact on the existing sort of land uses there.
In the report, I'm just looking at this map now, and either way, we'd be requested to do something with the roads, I'm gathering, either way, so this is the best way. But in the report it says that it's of no benefit to the public, yet on this map it sort of looks like that there is that road's going right through, and so I would assume that there's other property owners up further that potentially, if not needing access now, but in the future would need access.
The property to the southern side, the bottom side of the two blocks in question, is council reserve. It's a stock route reserve there, and then you hit the train track. So there's not so much of a benefit there. In that first image, you can see there's been access made along that reserve, but that is actually not a approved road parcel there for anyone to access. Effectively, the other blocks that are adjacent to these two blocks have access from another way. So,
right.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor
Another
Vincent?
question, and we have put a bit of a block on it with the addition to the budget
Sorry,
amount.
Councillor Vincent. Councillor Davis?
Sorry, I've just realised the rural road budget for Bungle. I may have a conflict because my husband is part of that work team.
Council sets a budget. Does council set the budget for?
If you feel that you wish to declare a declarable conflict of interest,
I will.
okay. Just
sorry.
hang on, Councillor Davis. We'll get Kel will get what you need.
Just to clarify, for the community, we've added where the money's coming from, and
Yes,
that's why
yeah.
it wasn't previously there, and that's why this has just popped up.
Wayne Davis. Sorry. So, yeah, sorry, everyone.
Are you right, Councillor Davis? You if you start from the top.
Yep. The item is number 13.1. The description is request for access road construction to lots 76 and 78 on Plan M5332 Hodson. The declaring councillor is myself, Amber Davis. The person with the interest related party is my husband Wayne Davis, is the team lead.
Team leader,
He
yes.
builds roads. Team lead. Rural roads maintenance.
Rural roads maintenance, yes.
For Maranoa Regional Council. This is a declarable conflict of interest, and although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decisions of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the discussion.
Thanks, Councillor Davis. Councillor Brumpton?
I move that it's in the public interest that Councillor Davis participates and votes on the agenda item, I think it's 13.1,
It is, yeah.
because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
Thanks, Councillor Brumpton. A seconder, Councillor Flynn. I'll put that all in favour.
Yes.
That's 7-0. Councillor Vincent.
Yes, so we put the block on with including the budgeting amount. It just says that if the machinery was in there, it would only be the $5,000. Is the machinery going to be there in the next little while, 4 weeks or whatever? Or you were looking towards next year's budget?
The machinery will be in the vicinity. I just have to confirm the date exactly. But yeah, we do have works in the area further up on the Donnybrook Road and also coming across the Bindango Road in the coming weeks. Yeah.
I just noticed that it would be an extra $2,000 if
Yeah,
they needed to
mobilise.
uplift, yeah.
Yep.
Councillor Hancock, you're happy with those additions?
Did you want me to read that?
Please.
I move that Council 1 receive and note the letter from landholder in relation to this matter. 2, approve the construction of a formed road to access lots 76 and 78 on Plan M5332 for the amount of up to $5,000, with costs being drawn from the existing operational budget for rural road maintenance Bungle. 3, note the constructed access provides limited benefit to the public and as such will not be included on the Council's road register.
The second is happy with that?
Yes, I am.
Does the mover wish to speak?
No, thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak? No, I'll put the motion. Those in favour?
Yes.
That's carried 8-0. Item 14.1. Bendemeer Blue Light Shed Yulbar Management Return to Council. Is there a mover? There is. Councillor Searide.
I'd like to move. I just have a couple of questions based around it. Maybe just a amendment to the resolution. Based just around compile a list of the viable contents, chairs, sound systems, etc., and relocate these to an area within the region. If it is a viable contents, is there obviously a chance inside that to just ensure that some of that stuff could be looked at to be used inside the town itself? It's too valuable to lose to a small community if it is still viable. From interest, I know previously they may have had a projector. They do have a projector wall. We have held outdoor movies as such at Newbar at times at a significant cost to the council during school holidays. It's possibly a alternate to hold them at this facility instead at such a reduced cost to the council. I'd just like to make an amendment in that.
And what's your amendment?
That we just compile a list of viable contents and, a discussion amongst council whether we actually relocate these items or perhaps leave them in the facility to be used if there was a chance to start and I don't know how to word it properly.
So it could be compile a list of viable contents, chairs, sound systems, and consider use of these items at a future meeting.
Yes. Via a briefing, maybe. All right, if that's okay, I'll move this that the council take over management of the blue light shed. Consider consider future options for this shed as a horrible asset. 3, compile a list of viable contents, chairs, sound systems, etc., to consider use of these items at a future briefing. 4, authorise the chief executive officer or delegate to provide an acceptance letter of the surrender.
Thanks, Councillor Searide. Is there a seconder? There is. Councillor Brumpton. Does the mover wish to speak? Councillor Hancock.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Because we don't make decisions at briefings, consider use of these items at a future meeting via a briefing.
Yes.
Via a previous briefing, yeah.
Would you like me to read that again? Or?
No.
I think that's clear. Does the seconder happy with that?
Yeah,
Yes.
I accept that.
Councillor Brumpton's happy with that. Councillor Searide.
I would like to sum up. It is a sad case in this instance that the Blue Light Management has had to surrender the user agreement based on probably not enough volunteers for the area. But while it is great that the council can possibly take over this and it become a horrible asset, so we do not lose this to the community. So I am fully supportive of this at this stage, with the hopefully viewing options to continue what its use for the community is.
Thanks, Councillor Searide. Is there a speaker against?
Not speaking against
Councillor
Mayor,
Flynn.
but I am asking some questions with regard to this matter. This is our 3rd general meeting of the new council, and this is the 2nd occasion where we've been asked to take over a community-based facility. I just have a concern that if we keep saying yes to these, we are going to be in a position where we take over everything. Somewhere along the line, there's got to be some decision to say, well, council is not the whipping boy in these cases.
If anything, Councillor Flynn, the asset is already council's. We had a lease with the Blue Light, which I think was in the last term of council, whom I looked there, that we entered into. I'll go to Thea, and then it was Councillor Hancock.
Through the chair, there is no local police officer based in Yulbar, which has led to the demise of the Blue Light Shed Committee or organising group.
Your concerns,
I'm also aware of the fact that there is a blue light organisation operating out of the local PCYC. Why couldn't that be used?
Well, it's worthwhile having that conversation.
Yeah.
Councillor Hancock?
I have another amendment. Just reading it and thinking about it, would the mover and seconder consider saying, because I'm taking on board what Councillor Flynn said, I think we need a further conversation about this. So I would suggest that we change number 2, put number 2 and 3 together and say, consider the future options for this shed and the viable contents at a future meeting via a briefing. I actually think we need to talk about the whole deal, like, so the shed and the contents and what options do we have with this? Because yes, it could be a horrible asset, but we don't know the needs of the community yet. Maybe if it's, I'm not saying, maybe there's a business who might want to open up in there. Maybe there's other opportunities that we haven't thought about today.
So is that you're
sorry,
moving an amendment?
I am moving an amendment, sorry.
In terms of point 2 is gone and it's merging into point 3.
Yeah.
That's the amendment you're proposing.
Yes, please.
And
sorry.
So Councillor Hancock's moved that. Does the mover of the original motion accept that?
Yes, fully support that.
And the seconder,
No.
who was Councillor Brumpton?
Can I just, now that I understand that council owns the asset, are we actually taking over management of the blue light shed, or are we just returning the asset to council's? It's not the management of the shed.
No.
We are just ending the user agreement.
That's right.
Which essentially is they used to manage it,
But
so
it's
now
not-
it's coming back to us.
Yeah, but it won't be a blue light shed anymore, will it? It'll just be a shed, is what I'm saying, is we are resuming ownership or ending the user licence of a shed.
Well, not. Oh,
No.
yeah, you.
We're taking over the
Well, is
It
it a
was
blue
our
light shed
facility.
anymore? Because the group doesn't exist anymore. That's what I'm.
So I actually understand that, but for the community right now, it is the blue light shed, and so we need to say what we're taking, like what we're bringing back, and that's why in point 3 it's just called the shed. It's no longer called the blue light shed.
But are we taking over management of
No,
the shed?
yeah, I
or
see
not?
where Councillor Brumpton's going.
We are accepting the end of the user licence of the blue light shed.
Of the council facility known as the blue light shed.
Yes.
Yeah, I think if I could through the chair, I think that's probably a bit more appropriate rather than say end it. It's actually the blue light that have approached council, so I think it's more accepting.
Accepting
Yeah.
the relinquishment of the user agreement for the blue light shed.
Yeah, that's good.
For the facility known as, the council facility known as the blue light shed. Yeah.
Except on page 166 up the top it says the user agreement was not executed and additional correspondence has since been received. So really, they didn't actually sign. So we, on the meeting on the 24th, council consider entering into a 1-year agreement with the blue light. They actually haven't accepted our agreement. So I suppose it's the same thing.
It
This
is.
still
It's the
works.
same
This still
thing, yeah.
works. Yeah.
Sorry, that's not my motion, but back to the
Amendment. Yeah.
amendment. Yeah.
Councillor Seawright, do you accept?
Yes, would you like me to read it again?
I will. Does the seconder accept? Yep, please go ahead, Councillor Seawright.
That Council 1 accept the relinquishment of the user agreement for the council facility known as the blue light shed. 2, consider the future options for this shed and the viable contents, chairs, sound systems, etc., and consider the use of these items at a future meeting via a briefing. 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to provide an acceptance letter of the surrender.
Everyone's happy. You've spoken already to the motion. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? There's not. I'll put the motion. Those in favour?
Yes.
Carried 8-0. On that note, we'll adjourn the meeting for morning tea and we'll be back at 11 o'clock. Okay, we'll resume the meeting and we're up to item 14.2, designation of area liable to flooding. Do I have a mover?
I'll move it.
Councillor Brumpton.
I move that Council A designate all areas identified within the low, significant, high or extreme hazard categories within Council's online mapping service flood hazard layer as a flood hazard area in accordance with section 8.1a of the Building Regulation 2021, and B, the defined flood level is 1% AEP modelled event as shown in the mapping identified in Part A. C, the declared finished floor level for all Class 1 buildings built in the flood hazard area must be a minimum of 300 millimetres above the adopted defined flood level. And D, that the above matters form part of the building assessment provisions for any future building application on an affected property in accordance with section 32B of the Building Act 1975.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Vincent. Councillor Brumpton, I just wonder if you'd be open to adding E, which is that council resolve as a E to draft and issue appropriate communique to provide clarity and details of the I don't want to use the word impact, the
Provisions. Information.
provide appropriate communication on the details of the above points as a matter of priority.
Where's that communication going to go?
To the community.
It'll be, I didn't want to specify because it'll be social media, there might be a media release. It's just making sure that, in my mind, we are getting this information out rather quickly as to what this decision is, and to allay any fears that may come from people that have been through, flooding over the last 12, 13, 14 years.
So, but
It won't be council resolve, it'll be, sorry, Cal, that'll just be, because it starts off with...
council draft.
Yeah.
The council draft. And I would suggest draft an appropriate communication to the community, not how we do it, but the communication's going to the community. It's not internal, it's
that's
it's
what I was sort
external.
of asking.
Yeah, not how we do it, but who we're doing it to.
So it would be, F would be to draft then, just in light of how the resolution reads. Because the beginning of the resolution is that council resolve, so E would be to draft. Oh, you changed it.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Cal. So it would be that council draft.
Oh.
Yeah, I beg your pardon. Yeah, okay, I'm happy.
I'm happy with that.
You're happy with
change.
that? And the seconder was
No one yet.
Councillor Vincent. You're happy with that addition? Would the mover like to speak?
Yes, I probably technically might not explain this as well as it was explained by the officers, but I understand that this is just adopting the current flood models that have been actually being applied by the planning area. It's just technically us adopting those to make for clarity, because there had been some issues with what was published compared with what was being assessed, is my understanding.
Can we capture that at all in a statement at the end as well, or
In part of the communication?
just in a statement at the end of this resolution? A reasonable statement.
Oh, I see where you're going. A statement of reason is generally included if it's against the recommendation or contrary to the recommendation of the staff. But what Councillor Brumpton has articulated, that would form start of a very nice media statement or social media post or whatever means council wants to do. But I think that would be the best course, Councillor Serod.
I think it's important for the community to understand, as our understanding is that we're not changing what's happening, we're making it clearer of what's being applied is sitting in the council policy.
Any other councillors wish to speak? No, I'll put the motion. Those in favour?
Yes.
8-0. Next item is 14.3, development application, material change of use, hardware and trade supplies and warehouse, 102 Wyndham Street, Roma, reference 20232100. Is there a mover? Councillor Brumpton.
This be laid on the table to come back for a briefing, because I understand there's a lot of history to this, and for us to understand the full impact and background to this, for a briefing before we make the decision.
So laid on the table for a future meeting?
For a future meeting following a briefing?
Following a briefing.
Yes.
Kate, there's no time issues on this one?
There was, but I've already spoken to the consultant and they've agreed to an extension.
Okay, all right.
Thank you,
So
Kate.
it's probably, Councillor Brumpton, it's probably not laying it necessarily on the table, it's deferring the decision till a future council meeting to come via a briefing. So that deferment is a mover, and is there a seconder for that deferment? Councillor Hancock, do you wish to speak to the motion, Councillor Brumpton?
No, only the reason for deferring it is to fully understand the long and complex history around this, so we can make an informed decision about where this is going.
Thanks, Councillor Brumpton. Anyone else wish to speak? No, I'll put that. All in favour?
Yes.
Carried 8-0. Got no late open, have we? That's it. Yeah. So I've just got the only item to come back to there is 11.2, the Audit Committee, which we'll come back to later in the meeting. Is that the only one, councillors? Yep. So we've got, before we go into closed, we've got two items that we need to add to the agenda. That's LC3 and LC4. So I'm looking for a mover to add those two items, if you can. Councillor Hancock.
I move that we add LC3, subject heading appeal update, the Big Fish Pty Ltd versus Maranoa Regional Council.
We'll do them one at a time.
Yep, 1859/23 to the agenda.
Someone to second that. Councillor Brumpton. Any discussion? There's not. I'll put that. All in favour?
Yes.
That's carried. Councillor Hancock.
I move that we add subject heading, I move that we add LC4, subject heading Commercial Business Unit, 2024-25 draft budget development, Roma Sale Yards to the agenda.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. Is there a seconder? Yes. Councillor Flynn. Any discussion? I'll put that. All in favour?
Yes.
That's 8-0. And just for clarity, the previous vote was 8-0 in adding LC3 as well. So they're now on the agenda. Before we move into close, are there any conflicts of interest people wish to raise? There is. Councillor Davis.
Thank you.
Or who's first? You've got Councillor Davis first, Cal.
The first one is C1 correct.
You go ahead, Councillor Davis.
I'd like to declare an interest for item number C1. Description is request for refund of planning application fees 2023/20909. The declaring councillor is myself, Councillor Amber Davis. The person with the interest is myself, Amber Davis, and my husband Wayne Davis. The particulars of the interest is that myself, Amber Davis, and husband Wayne Davis own and operate Bessie's Ice Cream Bus. The requester is our regular mechanic for our business. It is a declarable conflict of interest. Although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision.
Thanks, Councillor Davis. Is there any other conflicts on C1?
There is.
Councillor
actually,
Hancock.
And it's my apology, Cal.
So you've just indicated that you have won on C1. So we'll deal with Councillor Davis's conflict of interest first, noting that you can't participate, Councillor Hancock. Is there someone to move something? Councillor Brumpton?
I move that it is in the public interest that Councillor Davis participates and votes on agenda item C1 because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
Thanks, Councillor Brumpton. Is there a seconder? There is. Councillor Vincent. I'll put that. All in favour?
Yes.
That is 6-0. Is that right? Yep. Councillor Hancock?
My apologies. Okay.
Councillor Hancock.
I'd like to declare a conflict on item C1, request for refund of planning application fees 23/200909. Declaring councillor as myself, Councillor Hancock. Person with interest is GL and JM Hancock, H5H Hancock Trust, which is my husband and myself. H5H Transport, H5H Transport Trust. Nicholas and Stephanie Hancock, which is my son and daughter-in-law. Peter and Karen Hancock, brother and sister-in-law. Particulars of interest. All parties above for whom I have a close association with own and operate heavy vehicles. And as I declared a conflict on the original matter, I believe that conflict still stands. Type of conflict is declarable conflict, and the action is I will leave the room while the matter is being discussed and voted on.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. Is there any other conflicts on C1? There's not other conflicts before we go into closed. Councillor Davis.
I'd like to declare a conflict on C7. The description is Roma Country Music Festival, 29th and 30th of November 2024. The declaring councillor is myself, Amber Davis. The person with the interest is myself and my husband, Wayne Davis. The particulars are that myself and my husband, Wayne Davis, own and operate Bessie's Ice Cream Bus. There is a possibility we may apply to trade at this event. It's a declarable conflict of interest, and although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person would perceive bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision.
So, well,
Should I don't know. I'm just going to
look,
get out.
we're going
I'm just
to,
gonna
look,
get out.
I've always been of the view, none of us are lawyers, right, but we should talk these things through. You have indicated there is a possibility you may trade at the event. And so it's a bit tighter in terms of whether that conflict is there or not. And so, I mean, I don't know what others think, but for me, Councillor Davis, I would probably not vote for you to be in the room. Not that I'm just, this is all very new and we should be talking this through, and if there was someone that wanted to move and test it, then that's what, if you want to do that.
I'm
but
happy.
But it's
to
entirely up to
change.
you, but
No,
we're all still
honestly,
navigating
and
the
I
change.
I don't want to back out of my responsibilities that I've been elected for
Yeah,
to
yeah.
participate.
Yeah.
But yeah, it will be good to receive some further legal advice
Which-
when that does
which
happen.
we're organising,
And,
yep.
Yeah. So I'm happy to get out of the room as well.
All right, so you're,
I'll leave. Thank you. Sorry, Kelly. Thank you.
does anyone else have a conflict relating to item C, whatever that one was, 7?
Yes, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Flynn?
With regard to item C7, Roma Country Music Festival, 29th and 30th of November 2024, Councillor Peter Flynn have an interest with regard to the executive positions that I hold on some organisations that could be seen to be in conflict with this particular function, being the Roma Turf Club and Roma's Easter in the Country. I believe this is a declarable conflict of interest, and although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I'll respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision.
Thanks, Councillor Flynn. Is there someone willing to move something? Councillor Seawright?
I am willing to move that in accordance. No.
No. He's got the sheet of paper.
Here.
Oh, here.
Oh, thank you. That it is in the public interest that Councillor Flynn participates and votes on the agenda item C7, because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
Is there a seconder? There is,
Yeah.
Councillor Brumpton. I'll put that. Those in favour?
Yes.
That's 6-0. Is there any other conflicts? There can't be because you all voted.
I have a conflict of
another.
interest on item 2.
C2.
Is
Yeah,
that who
what
we've got
fees and
next,
charges.
Kel? Some of these will be populated, so I might just see. This won't be. But have you got someone next anyway that had already foreshadowed? No. Councillor Flynn?
Okay, item C2, airport fees and charges 2024-25. Peter Flynn declaring councillor. The interest that I have is with my business, Maranoa Travel Centre, which I am a sole trader.
Just slow down here, Councillor Flynn. Sorry, Kel's going to capture this
Sorry.
as you go. Sorry to interrupt.
And that it could be reasonably seen to be benefit by some of the decisions that are made in relation to this particular matter. I would therefore indicate a prescribed conflict of interest and will leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Probably, Councillor Flynn, it's a declarable conflict of interest because it doesn't relate to Maranoa Travel. It's the fees and charges, but your option's still the same to leave the room. but it's more a declarable conflict of interest because it's the matter at hand. And the matter at hand, whilst it relates to your business, it is the airport fees and charges is the matter, where it's not about Maranoa travel. So it's probably a described conflict of interest if you follow the chart.
I did say prescribed.
No, sorry, I misspoke. It's a declarable conflict of interest.
But you can leave the room.
But you still leave the room.
Still going to leave the room
Yeah.
while the matter is discussed and
Yeah.
voted on.
Does anyone else have any conflicts on C2? No? Other conflicts? Councillor Seawright.
Just the LC4.
LC4. Before we get to LC4, because there'll be others, does anyone else have any other conflicts other than on LC4?
No,
No.
but LC4's not enclosed, so will we be dealing with that at another time in the meeting?
It is, it's already been put on the agenda, so it's on the closed agenda. So we're going to deal with those conflicts now. Unless you're not ready to deal with the conflicts.
Well, to be fair to Cal, we got that report this morning.
Oh, I see.
And we haven't had to, and there's going to be quite a few of us declaring conflicts, and I just feel that it'll be too hard to do that in the meeting if we may just have some time to deal with our own conflicts and come back.
I understand. A fair point. We'll get to it after lunch by the timing. So over lunch, if you articulate the conflict, and we'll get that to Cal so it's populated, so it's more seamless. Are there any other conflicts? There's not. Is someone willing to move? We go into closed. Councillor Hancock.
I move that in accordance with the provisions of Section 254J3 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the Council resolved to close the meeting to the public at 11:25 to discuss confidential items that is councillors consider is necessary to close the meeting. In accordance with Section 254J5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the following table provides the matters to be discussed and an overview of what is to be discussed while the meeting is closed. Agenda item C1, request for refund of planning application fees 2023/20909. C2, airports fees and charges 2024/2025. C3, Astor Theatre, Surat. C4, Roma Bore 21 required adjustment. C5, application for hardship assessment 140133737. C6, minor amendment to the organisational structure. C6, minor amendment to the organisational structure. C7, Roma Country Music Festival 29th and 30th November 2024. LC1, tender 23014.
Item LC4, Commercial Business Ute 2024-25 Draft Budget Development, Roma Sale Yards. I understand there's conflicts. Councillor Hancock.
I'd like to declare a conflict.
Please go ahead.
I'd like to declare a conflict on item LC4, description Commercial Business Unit 2024-25 Draft Budget Development, Roma Sale Yards. Declaring councillor as Councillor Joanne Hancock. Person with interest or related parties is GL and JM Hancock. H5H Transport Trust, my husband and myself, Nicholas and Stephanie Hancock, son and daughter-in-law, Peter and Karen Hancock, brother and sister-in-law. Particulars of interest. The above-mentioned entities use Roma Sale Yards to buy and sell cattle and, in addition, commercially use the facilities of the truck wash and loading ramps. Type of conflict, declarable conflict of interest. An action is, although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision on all matters considered for this item, except for the following projects: additional dump ramp, primary road loop extension, NHVR hardstand asphalt and truck wash. For discussion and voting on these projects, I'll leave the room.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. Are there other councillors that have a conflict on LC4? Councillor Vincent, Councillor Seawright and Councillor Brumpton. So that leaves Councillor Davis, Councillor Flynn and myself as the remaining councillors to make decisions based on conflicts. Is there someone that's willing to move something in relation to Councillor Hancock? Councillor Davis?
Thank you. I'll move that it is in the public interest that Councillor Hancock participates and votes on agenda item LC4, except for the following projects: additional dump ramp, Primaries Road Loop extension, NHV hardstand asphalt, truck wash, because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
Thanks, Councillor Davis. Is there a seconder?
I'm probably not willing to second.
I'll second. I'll put the resolution. Those in favour? And against? Councillor Flynn against. That's 2 votes to 1. The motion is carried. Councillor Vincent?
Yes, declarable interest for item number LC4. Description is Commercial Business Unit 2024-25 draft budget development for the Roma Sale Yards. The declaring councillor is Councillor Jane Vincent. Person with the interest is myself and my husband Dane Vincent, trading as D&J Vincent Proprietary Limited. We buy and sell at the Roma Sale Yards. It's a declarable conflict of interest, and although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate on the decision.
Thanks, Councillor Vincent. Is there someone willing to move something? Councillor Davis?
Could I clarify something?
Councillor Flynn?
Councillor Hancock listed the items that she wasn't going to take part in the discussion with.
Correct.
That was what my vote was about. Councillor Vincent has not listed any items.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I don't have the commercial. Councillor Hancock has got a commercial business.
Yep.
That, although we're a commercial business, but it's the same as everybody else that uses the sale yards, as in the primary production side.
I'm prepared to second the motion on that, but I just want to clarify why I voted against the other one.
Yep.
Thanks, Councillor Flynn. Councillor Davis?
Yep. I move that it is in the public interest that Councillor Vincent participates and votes on agenda item LC4, because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
Thanks, Councillor Davis. Is there a seconder for that motion?
Second,
There is
yep.
Councillor Flynn. I'll put that. Those in favour? That's carried. 3 votes to 0. Further conflicts? Councillor Searide.
So I wish to declare a conflict. So item number LC4 on Commercial Business Unit 2024-25 draft budget development for the Roma Sale Yards. Councillors myself, Brendan Seawright, myself and my wife, Kristen Seawright, trading as BR and KM Seawright. Particulars of interest: we buy and sell cattle at the Roma Sale Yards. It is a declarable conflict of interest. Although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision.
Thanks, Councillor Searide. Is there a councillor willing to move? Councillor Davis?
I move that it is in the public interest that Councillor Seawright participates and votes on agenda item LC4, because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
Thanks, Councillor Davis. Is there a seconder?
Second.
There is. Councillor Flynn. I'll put that. All in favour? That's carried. 3 votes to 0. Are there any further conflicts? There are. Councillor Brumpton.
Description is item LC4, Commercial Business Unit 2024-25 draft budget development for Roma Sale Yards. Declaring councillor as myself, Councillor Brumpton. The person with the interest, myself and my husband Robert Brumpton. Particulars of interest: we sell cattle through the Roma Sale Yards. Type of conflict: declarable conflict of interest. Although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision.
Thanks, Councillor Brumpton. Is the council willing to move something? Councillor Davis.
Thank you. I'd like to move that it is in the public interest that Councillor Brumpton participates and votes on agenda item LC4 because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
Thanks, Councillor Davis. Seconder, Councillor Flynn. I'll put that. All in favour? That's 3 votes to 0. There's no further conflicts. Does any councillor want to go back into close to discuss item LC4? No. Then we will move to C1.
I have a conflict of interest.
Well, just hang on a minute, Councillor Hancock. C1, request for refund of planning application fees 2023 /20909. Councillor Hancock has a conflict, is leaving the room. All right, is there someone willing to move something? There is Councillor Seawright.
I'm wishing to, sorry. I move that we approve a refund of the application fee of $5,362 for the development application at 501 Bunjawuggerai Lane, Roma, reference number 2023/20909.
Thanks, Councillor Seawright. Is there a seconder? There is Councillor Brumpton. Does the mover wish to speak?
Oh, I do wish to speak. In regards to, I do believe, perhaps the person there may have been some misunderstanding along the way, but I do believe that it is the applicant has suffered enough through this period of the whole development application, and just in a goodwill gesture to support, I guess, a future, endeavours they may have, that we should refund that development application fee to them.
Thanks, Councillor Seawright. Is there a speaker against? Councillor Davis.
I'll just be speaking against this motion. I do know that this has been ongoing. I do, however, the information is presented. I will be voting against this motion.
Thanks, Councillor Davis. Speaker for. Anyone else wish to speak?
I'll speak for.
Councillor Brumpton.
Mirroring what Councillor Seawright said, I believe there may have been a misunderstanding. I think these applicants have suffered and have had to change their business model potentially because of a misunderstanding, and in good faith and supporting locals that are wanting economic development in the region, I'm willing to support this refund.
Thanks, Councillor Brumpton. Any further speakers for, against?
I'd just like to speak against the motion.
Councillor Flynn.
Nothing with regard to this particular application, but I believe we have a planning scheme in place. I can't see anywhere in the documentation where the planning scheme has been not followed to the correct process. While feeling sympathy for the applicants, I don't think that we can change this.
Thanks, Councillor Flynn. Any further speakers? I'll speak in favour. I'm going to support the resolution as it stands, moved by Councillor Seawright. There are extenuating circumstances with this matter. As Councillor Davis said, it has been a matter that has been before council, or matters close to this have been before council a number of times over the last little while. And I think this is a gesture of good faith in terms of the request, and I'm happy to support the refund of the application fee to the value stated in the resolution. Any further speakers? Does the mover wish to sum up? Mover doesn't. I'll put the motion. Those in favour and against? That's carried 4 votes to 2. We'll just need a statement of reason, Councillor Seawright.
A statement of reason, it's just in support of future economic development in the region.
Thanks, Councillor Seawright. If Councillor Vincent could get Councillor Hancock back, that'd be great. Thank you. We'll now move to item C2, which is airports, fees and charges 2024-2025. Councillor Flynn is leaving the room having declared a declarable conflict of interest. I'm looking for a mover for C2. Councillor Searod.
I move that Council adopt option 2 with an amendment. So, am I allowed to disclose the percentage?
Yes.
So, option 2 with a rise in 5% in all aspects other than parking, with a rise of 10% in parking fees. Fees and charges for the airport business unit as presented. With a 5% increase in all fees and charges other than parking, with parking as 10%.
You could, Councillor Seawright, adopt option 2 with a 10% increase to parking charges, because option 2 is the 5%.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, adopt option 2 with a 10%.
Adopt option 2, except
parking.
Except
It have to be aircraft parking.
Is it fees
It says
associated with
parking on the document.
adopt option 2, with the exception of parking charges.
With the exception of parking charges, yes.
That-
Director Dean, have you got a solution?
That will see a increase of 10%. That will incur a increase of 10%. Councillor Searle, that might be a frame of words.
Now, Mr. Mayor, if I could, just in relation to, I get it, I take it that the material that you may have seen, and it does say parking, but I concur, just to be clear, the parking, if we said aircraft parking, just to be clear for anyone reading it, that's not car, lay people would think car parking.
Yeah, that's very clear for the documentation we've got, yeah.
So perhaps, if you don't mind,
yes,
the word aircraft in front of
parking charges.
And just to note, Councillor Seawright, because you've moved something different to the officer's recommendation, you can put a statement of reason under this one.
So, Kel, just the first bit, adopt option 2 with the exception of parking, airport parking charges, which will incur an increase of 10% full stop. Then, I don't know if you need
the rest of it.
And then you need as the 24, 25 fees and charges.
Put aircraft up near exception of aircraft parking charges.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, Jane.
10%, and then what?
And then from there through to as, it doesn't need to be there, unless someone tells me otherwise.
No.
Councillor Searon?
No, it doesn't need to be there.
So remove all the rest of that?
No, just to the other, the back end of 10% increase. Yep.
As the.
Yep.
So adopt option 2 with the exception of aircraft parking charges, which will incur an increase of 10% as the 2024-25 fees and charges for the airport business unit as presented. Continue option and 2, item 2, continue waiving the fees for the Royal Flying Doctor Service, Life Flight and Angel Flight's use of council airports.
Thanks, Councillor Searon. Is there a seconder for the motion? You've got a
Can I propose a change before we second that?
You can.
I was just wondering, councillor Seawright, whether also private annual landing charges also were the 10%. I thought our discussion incorporated the two items that we had compared commercially viable options and compared with what other.
Are you open to that, councillor Seawright? If
Yes.
you're not, you can.
No, I don't mind. I wouldn't mind asking through the chair what the directors would think of that, about that.
I think they would be very happy.
Or some information based around that. Would that be?
So yeah, we were mindful about whether you did want to include the landing charges. The comparative stuff does relate to landing fees.
Yep. No. Well, thank you. I'm happy with that. Councillor Compton.
So that was and airport landing charges?
And
Private annual
landing charges. So you're happy with that, councillor Seawright?
Yep.
That means you're seconding this, councillor Brumpton?
Can you show me where that is on the page?
The third one down, fourth one down, third one down. Private annual landing charges.
We did discuss it in our briefing, councillor Hancock.
Yeah, I can't see it, but is it under? Oh yes, so third one.
Yes.
Option 3 will give you a clear indication of what it's going up for.
And it would be, that's the increase per year.
10%. So we're proposing 10%.
So what I'm seeing in my table would be an annual increase.
Through the chair, correct. Mr. Mayor, if I could.
Sure.
Thank you. Just as an example, one of the line items, so private single landing annual, the current 442, a 5% would be 464 and a 10% would be 486.
Councillor Seawright, you've accepted it, you've got a seconder. I'd just like to propose a further amendment, which is that be expanded to private annual landing charges and commercial annual landing charges.
I'm okay with that.
You're happy to accept commercial as well?
Happy to accept commercial as well.
As the mover, the seconder, councillor Brumpton's happy. Councillor Seawright, I'll go to you as the mover if you wish to speak.
I do wish to speak. I do believe in option 2 with the amendments we've listed above. We have, like through the directors, they have extensively researched this, and we are comparatively low with other business units in the same kind of capacity of airports as ourselves, others that are owned by councils. Very, I guess, extensively benchmarked. And, if we want to throw some figures out, we are currently at 442, and compared to Charleville for a annual fee, was that 442 on?
So Charleville would be 640.
640. So we're on 442, and that's our annual parking fee against Charleville at 640. So that's, we're a bigger airport, and we're much behind at a cost to the ratepayers in this regard.
Thanks, councillor Seawright. Anyone wish to speak against the motion? Any further speakers for? Councillor Brumpton?
I think council did fully discuss this with the officers and in our briefing, and whilst we recognise that some local people will be affected by a 10% increase, when we were benchmarking to get up to some of the market things, we would have considered up to a 250% increase. So I think a 10% increase is reasonable in the current economic climate, recognising that we are well below the fees that other airports do incur. So I think we've been reasonable in our consideration of, whilst we're raising it, we haven't jumped up to the level that other airport operators charge.
Thanks, councillor Brumpton. Any other speakers? I'll speak for. I'm happy to support this. When you hear percentages like 10%, you expect it's going to be a huge increase in dollars. It isn't. I think it will be really important when we communicate these changes that we illustrate that when we're benchmarked against other regional councils, we can illustrate that we are in fact quite low, and we're trying to maintain our asset, which is the airport, while also supporting, the users of the airport as well. But at the end of the day, the economy has moved over the last 4 years, particularly in the last 2 years, significantly. The cost of us providing services is increasing, and we're going to have to look at ways to ensure that we are covering costs and the user pays rather than continually tapping the shoulders of our ratepayers to pick up the shortfall. And so I think this is a modest increase, and when we illustrate it in dollar values, people will see that it is not a huge rise at all. So I think that will be important in the messaging with any of the increases to fees and charges, and there will be certainly comments that I'll make in and around the broader budget that we'll be bringing down at the end of June. So I'm more than happy to support this resolution. Any other speakers? Does the mover wish to sum up?
Just in regards, I would like to echo your effects and Councillor Brumpton's effects in regards to that. It is being presented as a very strong budget for the 2024-5 period, and whilst we could have taken harsher actions to bring us more in line with other commercial units in the area, in our immediate areas, so to speak, that we have only increased it CPI and some, and obviously slightly beyond, but it is well within what we could have done in regards to other business units in the area.
Thanks, Councillor Searog. Is it a question?
It is a question.
Councillor Hancock.
At the last minute, I'm so sorry. Just through the chair to the director. Option 2, according to what I'm looking at, isn't putting those fees and charges back in. Here we had the discussion about having the fees and charges in there and then the waiving of them.
It's been circulated. You're looking at the wrong version.
You look.
So that's what I'm clarifying. I'm wondering if option 2 is actually the option that we're doing, because this is option 2 in front of me. I thought we were getting extra options.
Option 2 has been amended. Correct. And that's what has been circulated.
So option 2 has been amended.
It has.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just making sure.
All right.
That's it. Thank you. Perfect.
I'll put the motion. Those in favour? That's carried. 6-0. You wouldn't mind getting Councillor Flynn. Thanks, Councillor Hancock.
Thanks, Directors.
Next item is C3, Astor Theatre, Surat. Councillor Vincent.
I'd like to move that this lay on the table for a future meeting to be brought back via a briefing. Oh, sorry.
Deferment.
Are we deferring? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
referring to a future meeting.
Yeah.
Following.
So we're not asking any particular questions, So you're moving that it be deferred to a future meeting and come back via a briefing.
Yes,
Councillor Vincent move that. Someone to second. That's Councillor Brumpton. Does the mover wish to speak?
No, just as a new councillor, I'd like to get a full picture of this project. It looks like it's got a fair bit of history behind it, and just, to get a good understanding of what this project is.
Thanks, Councillor Vincent. Speaker against? Anyone else wish to speak? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? That's carried. 7-0.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt. Next item is C4, Roma Board 21, required adjustment. Councillor Brumpton.
I'd like to move that Council 1 receive and note the information contained within this report by way of update to the Board 21 project. 2, approve an additional budget allocation of $31,000 to increase the depth of Bore 21 from the Hutton Aquifer to the Precipice Aquifer. 3, as a contingency, approve an additional budget allocation of $255,000 as required to allow Bore 21 to extract from the Gubramunda Aquifer should the Precipice Aquifer not yield water or a suitable flow rate. And 4, approve the reallocation of funds totalling $286,000 as required from Russell and Albert Street projects within the 2023-24 Water Capital Works program, given these projects will not be delivered by 30th of June 2024. And 5, re-add the Russell and Albert Street projects into the draft Water Capital Works project budget for 2024-25 for budget consideration.
Thanks, Councillor Brumpton. Is there a seconder? There is. Councillor Searide. Councillor Brumpton, would you like to speak the motion?
I need to say the officers have given us a full and detailed briefing around what the issues are with this aquifer and flow rates. We've fully considered, hopefully we won't have to move to the going down and then back up to Gubramunda, but we've given the options in there so that the officers don't have to keep coming back to council to have those approved as we go along if for some reason the precipice aquifer does not yield sufficient flow rate.
Thanks, Councillor Brumpton. Speaker against? Further speaker for? Anyone else wish to speak? I'll speak. This was a really important project from the previous term of council. We've allocated, clearly significant money. We got support from other levels of government in this space as well to contribute. What was the lion's share? It's disappointing that we haven't been able to secure the flow rate to date, but that's the nature of putting down bores, and so I think it's imperative that we get this right. Water security is so vital, and here we are, further tapping into the Great Artesian Basin, which is the lifeblood of our community. We wouldn't survive without it, and we need to get this right. So I'm more than happy to support this resolution today. Does the mover wish to sum up? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? That's carried 7-0. Next item is C5, application for hardship assessment 140133737. Do I have a mover? I do. Councillor Hancock.
I move that Council 1 receive and note the letter from the property owner of assessment 140133737. 2, defer recovery action and approve an 18-month payment plan, version 3, for assessment 140133737 on special circumstances grounds as per clause 9 of Council's rates and charges debt recovery policy. 3, advise the owner that the above arrangement recognises the hardship that has been endured. However, no further extensions to the payment plan will be provided.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. Is there a seconder for this motion? There is. Councillor Davis. Does the mover wish to speak?
No, thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak? No? I'll speak. I think this is the right course of action. We have embedded in the policy a clause around hardship where individuals that are going through challenging times can apply to council for their situation to be considered on a case-by-case, merit-by-merit basis. That's what's happened here, and I'm more than comfortable for this decision to go through today from my decision-making perspective. But it's very clear that this is it, that the payment plan has to be adhered to and be met within that period. And so I'm happy to support the recommendation. Does anyone else wish to speak? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? That's carried 7-0.
Mayor, our statement of reason would be the decision was based on our special circumstances grounds as per clause 9 of our council's rates and charges debt recovery policy.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. That's captured there. We'll now move to C6, which is minor amendment to the organisational structure. I'm looking for a mover. Councillor Vincent.
I move that Council endorse the proposed amendment to the organisational structure as follows. Manager, Corporate Communications, position number 1040, to move from reporting to Director of Corporate Services 0002 to the Chief Executive Officer, position 0001.
Thanks, Councillor Vincent. Is there a seconder? There is. Councillor Hancock. Does the mover wish to speak?
yes, sorry. Yeah, just taking the advice of the Acting Chief Executive Officer on this one, that this is a more appropriate place to put our corporate communications team to ensure better workings within our organisation.
Anyone else wish to speak or speaker against? Anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Hancock.
I agree. I'd like to thank the Chief Executive Officer, Acting Chief Executive Officer, bringing this to the table. Haven't seen one of these come to the table for quite a long time, and I just thank you for informing us of the needs of council and bringing it to us and giving us the chance to assist the organisation in a strategic manner. And this is a strategic decision for council. It is a decision to be able to put the corporate communications under the Chief Executive Officer, and I actually think that that is the perfect place for them to be. Communication is such a essential part of our business, and doing business and getting that communication right and quick and swiftly when we need to is really important. So I just fully support the recommendation.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. Anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Davis.
Just quickly, that I think it will be great for our community. It is a good outcome for our community where we are achieving open, transparent communication, and as Councillor Hancock said.
Thanks, Councillor Davis. Any other speakers? I'll speak. I'm in favour of this on two fronts. One is I echo the comments of Councillor Hancock. It has been a long time since an amendment to the organisational structure came before Maranoa Regional Council. It's very clear in the Local Government Act whose responsibility it is to make decisions on the organisational structure, and that's the 9 people in this chamber. And so to see that back is refreshing to me, and I applaud the acting CEO for doing just that. Our job is not to see who is appointed into that role. Our job is to only appoint the Chief Executive Officer. It is the CEO's role to appoint every position in the organisational structure underneath their role. But we do form the decision makers for the organisational structure. So that's point one, why I'm supporting this. Point two is because I do believe the manager for corporate communications should sit under the CEO. It is vital that we are communicating on a regular basis, we being the broader we, that's council, that's both organisationally and in terms of strategically from this chamber, with our community and the broader stakeholders. And the only way that we can do that seamlessly is with the Manager of Corporate Services sitting under the Chief Executive Officer. I've seen this work and work exceptionally well under previous Maranoa Regional Council terms, and I believe we're going to see that again. And so I welcome this before us today, and I support it wholeheartedly. Does anyone else wish to speak? Does the mover wish to sum up?
No, just to fully support what everybody has said, and the acting CEO. We're all trying our hardest to improve communications for our community from a council perspective out. So yeah, just to thank the acting CEO for bringing it to us.
Thanks, Councillor Vincent. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? That's carried. That was very much in favour there, Councillor Hancock. That was carried 7 votes to 0. We'll now move to C7, which is the Roma Country Music Festival, the 29 and 30th of November 2024. Is there a mover? Oh, sorry, Councillor Davis is leaving the room, having declared a conflict previously. There is a mover, Councillor Hancock.
I move that Council 1 receive and acknowledge the report. 2, renegotiate the Memorandum of Understanding dated 29 January 2024 to reflect the following. A, approve the allocation of $12,000, $10,000 for event people and $2,000 to Sports Marketing Australia from the 2024-25 sponsorship budget, GL 028887.2249.2001, conditional on the following. That Council is an event sponsor and not the event organiser or host. That Council is indemnified by the event organiser for any damages and loss associated with the event. Local businesses prioritised for use as part of the event. All ticket sales are fully refunded if the event is cancelled. The organiser is to ensure they have insurance for the event, including coverage for any consequential loss or other from event cancellation. Event organisers to seek local artists to be involved where possible. Council provided monthly updates on ticket sales. Power usage will not be waived for any camping. 3, consider a future allocation of $12,000 for the 25-26 and 26-27 budgets, subject and conditional on annual budget consideration and a post-event review to ensure the event's viability. 4, extend an in-kind support in 2024-25 by waiving fees associated with the A, booking fee for Bassett Park in November 2024, totalling $3,000. B, in November 2024, up to $3,000. B, provision of refuse bins and waste disposal for this event capped at $2,500. C, power consumption for the concert capped at $2,500, noting that no power fee waiver will be provided for camping. D, in-kind support allocated for the 20, 25, 26 and 26, 27 years will be subject to a post-report evaluation.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. Is there a seconder for that motion? There is. Councillor Brumston. Does the mover wish to speak?
Thank you. Yeah, this is an exciting event that Council's been asked to be involved in as a sponsor of this event. I think that anything that we can do to create and support economic development within our region, we should get behind. And I do think that a $12,000 investment in our sponsorship for this event is a small sponsorship in, if it is successful, the economic development that will be for our community. So I do think this is a win-win situation for our community. I think it will provide economic development for our town, and it will also provide our community an amazing event to go to, especially if you're a country music fan. And so I fully support this event and wish them all the best in their ticket sales, and I'll look forward to attending the event.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. A speaker against?
Yes.
Councillor Flynn.
Mr Deputy Mayor, I would like to speak against this motion. I wish the organisers all the very best as far as the success of the function goes, but I see too many question marks involved in the presentation that we have received as a council, involving timing of the event, involving insurance and risk of the event, and involving putting of council's name to the event.
Speaker 4, Councillor Vincent.
Yeah, I'd like to support this event today. It's looking like it's going to build some great economic development for our community, which will be great to see for our motels, our camping options around town in the outside of the tourism season. Yes, probably not ideal for the weather side of things so late in the year, but we can always work on that for next time if it's successful. And the staff have put a lot of work into this and working with us to try and work with this group to allow us to work with them to bring it to town.
Thanks, Councillor Vincent. A speaker against? A further speaker for? I'll speak for. I'm going to support this. If it wasn't last term, I think it was the term before, we put a lot of time and effort and resources in developing an events prospectus for the region. We saw that we were in a unique position here in the Maranoa with the assets, community assets, but also private assets that we've got to attract events. This is doing just that. I think if we can get behind this, an investment of $12,000, it has the return that is being suggested in respect to the number of people that it will attract to town for the weekend, to all the lovers of country music, both by local and afar. If we can attract them into town, there is a significant domino effect in relation to our local economy. Our role as a council is to, in my view, to stimulate the local economy where we can. We make some decisions in this chamber that are far greater in value than $12,000 that may not always bring the returns that are being suggested. Now, there is risk that the timing, given how warm we are in November, not to mention the early summer storms that we can get at that time. But we need to go into this and give the organisers as much local information as we can so they can attempt to mitigate that, and we need to back this in. And if it's successful, it will turn into an annual event. We've seen that with the proposal. So I'm happy to support this. I credit the staff that have worked in with the new term of council, which are very invested and want to be involved in making sure that we are on the right path with using ratepayers' dollars to get a return on that investment. And that's been evident with the briefings and the discussions that we had today on this matter. So I'm happy to support it, and I wish them all the best as we sponsor this. And subject to crying babies, I look forward to being at the event later in the year. And I don't mind Casey Chambers, so I look forward to hearing her. But as it turns out, where I live in Roma, it doesn't matter whether I'm at Bassett Park or not, I can still hear the concert. So I do hope this is a success and council gets behind it. Are there any other speakers? Does the mover wish to sum up?
I just do want to acknowledge that, yes, the date that's been locked in, might have some challenges around that for this year, and that will be part of our feedback from the success of the event. And going forward, if we were to look at supporting this again in future years, as is in the resolution, we'd be able to negotiate the date and to maybe see how. We just need to see how it goes on that date, give it a chance and see how it goes. And I do think that it is another event. I do want to flag that this time that we've looked at it, it's coming to Roma. I just want to assure the communities in the smaller towns that we actually did discuss about, providing these events at other towns in other regions, and
supporting these events in other towns.
Yeah, supporting these events in other towns, not other regions, other towns within our region. And so I just want to assure our communities that we will be looking for this opportunity right across our region to be able to have these opportunities in our smaller towns.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. I'll put the motion. Those in favour and against? That's carried 5-1. Thanks, Councillor Seawright.
My vote recorded.
Councillor Flynn has asked for his vote to be recorded. Thanks, Councillor Flynn. We'll now move to LC1, tender 23014, reline IMOF, tanks at Roma sewage treatment plant. Is there a mover? There is. Councillor Seawright.
I move that we approve the tender submission by Sheldon Proprietary Limited, ATFT, Scott and Lexi Blair Discretionary Trust, trading as Satin Touch for the price of $322,888. And 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to enter into a large contractual arrangement with Sheldon Proprietary Limited, ATFT, Scott and Lexi Blair Discretionary Trust, trading as Satin Touch for the relining of one IMHOF tank at Roma Sewage Treatment Plant.
Thanks, Councillor Seawright. Is there a seconder? There is. Councillor Vincent. Does the mover wish to speak? No. No. Anyone else wish to speak? For or against? No. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? That's carried 7-0. The next item is LC2 Roma Saleyard Sculpture. Do I have a mover? I do. Councillor Vincent.
I move that council select option B as the successful applicant of the Roma Saleyard acquisition prize in accordance with council's agreed design approach as discussed and provided by email at the meeting. 2, the winner be presented on the 15th of June at the opening of the sculpture's outback function.
A seconder. There is. Councillor Brumpton. Does the mover wish to speak?
No, just that I look forward to seeing this art piece come to fruition.
We need to change the funding.
No.
Next year. Next year.
Oh, brother.
Yeah. A speaker against? Further speaker for? Councillor Hancock?
But just wondering if the mover would just add in 15th of June 2024.
Oh, yes.
Mover's happy with that?
Yep.
Seconder's happy with that? Yep. Did you wish to speak, Councillor Hancock?
I do. I'm so excited about this. For the last 4 years that I've been at the table, I have been so jumping to try and get a sculpture of some sort at front of the sale yards. It's been a long project. I'm sure that Councillor O'Neill and Councillor Flynn are more excited than I am because this has been a very long project. When this opportunity came up to support the sculptures of the Outback and have it involved in that, we jumped at it, and I am really excited about the project. I'm really excited to see the end result and look forward to the unveiling of that at the Roma Sale Yards in the future.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. Any further speakers? Councillor Brumpton.
It's very exciting to see the number of entries and the calibre of the entries. So it is exciting to see that so many people, so many artists were interested in supporting this, and the calibre of entries was exceptional. And I'm very excited to see the one we have chosen and to see it in place and to see what an impact we'll have, especially on tourism, and it'll be a great photo opportunity as well for visitors to the facility.
Thanks, Councillor Brumpton. Any further speakers? I'll speak. I am as equally as excited, or more than Councillor Hancock. Probably as excited as Councillor Flynn, even though he doesn't look very excited right at this minute. But I reckon he will be pretty excited because it was 2 terms ago that we made some really big moves to see our facility, one of our greatest facilities in the Maranoa, improved for its 50th year. We had the idea then that the way we wanted to showcase the sale yards at the front of the facility was to have a depiction, a life-size depiction of a beast. And whilst it has been at times frustrating to go out there and see that it's still empty, I actually think the timing now is perfect, and it's perfect because of how this commercial facility, but also wonderful tourism facility, is going to tie in with the Outback Sculptures and the work that they've been doing in advancing the aesthetics as you drive into Roma. It's growing each and every year, we know that, and we've seen some sculptures in Mitchell. We're seeing them start to appear in other council facilities like Bassett Park. And as the movement continues over the years, it is going to outgrow the current location, which is wonderful because it's going to allow those sculptures to go further out across our region. And we're going to have a really impressive one. And I'm excited for the announcement on the 15th of June as well. We're going to have an impressive one at the front of the sale yard. So while it's taken a long time coming, and there'll be previous councillors, particularly former councillor Putty Chandler, that'll be pretty happy to see a sculpture out the front. Former director Sharon Frank, who worked tirelessly to try and get this up and going when she was here as well. I think there'll be some really excited people to see this finally coming to fruition in 2024. Are there any other speakers for? No further speakers for. Does the mover wish to sum up?
No, you've just about got me as excited as you lot. Peter Flynn's got his first request that he started, 5-6 years ago, so that's exciting. So yeah, look, it's going to be great when it's up and ready.
Wonderful. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? That's carried, 7 votes to 0. Next item is LC3. Appeal update the Big Fish Proprietary Limited versus Maranoa Regional Council 1859/23. Is there a mover? There is. Councillor Brumpton.
I move that Council defer a decision on the matter until a special meeting on Tuesday the 28th of May 2024.
Thanks, Councillor Brumpton. Seconded by Councillor Seawright. Do you wish to speak to that, Councillor Brumpton?
I need to say that we have sought some further legal advice. We've received a deputation. We need to have full consideration of this matter before we go any further.
Thanks, Councillor Brumpton. A speaker against? Further speaker for? There not being, I'll put the motion. All in favour? That's carried 7 votes to 0. Next item is LC4, Commercial Business Unit 2024-25 Draft Budget Development, Roma Sale Yards. Is there a mover? There is. Councillor Vincent.
I move that council receive and note the officers' report as presented. 2, be presented with a detailed budget briefing on the matter to assist with the progress and development of the 2024-25 budget.
Thanks, Councillor Vincent. Is there a seconder? Councillor Searide. Does the mover wish to speak?
Oh, no, thank you.
Speaker against? Any further speakers? There's not. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? That's carried. 11.2 is what we've got to go back to, unless Kel tells me there's something else. That's it.
We need to add in a statement for the airport budget one. I don't think we did.
No, we didn't. Yeah, you're right. We can do that.
What was that for?
The adoption of the 2024-25.
Councillor Searide, we just didn't put a statement of reason. The airport one.
Let's circle back to that after.
No.
We'll circle back to that after 11.2.
Yep.
11.2 is the Audit Committee terms of reference and appointment of external members. Do I have a mover? I do. Councillor Brumpton.
I move that Council 1 approve the establishment of an audit committee. 2, adopt the reviewed and updated terms of reference May 2024 for the committee. 3, call for expression of interest from suitably qualified persons for the positions of external member to form a new audit committee. 4, Kelly, receive information to review the fees paid to the independent chairperson and independent member. To be considered at a future council meeting. Prior to the release of the EOI in point 3. And 5, resolve for Michael Booth and John Perry to attend the scheduled Audit Committee meeting on the 12th of June 2024 as temporary chair and temporary external independent committee member in lieu of adopting a new committee.
Thanks, Councillor Brumpton. Is there a seconder? Councillor Hancock.
Can we just put expression of interest instead of EOI when we do the minutes?
You're happy to second that? You're happy with that expansion? Thanks, Councillor Brumpton. Would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, look, an audit committee is required under the Act for certain size councils. Also, the terms of reference, we've had a look at it through a briefing. We've suggested some changes, including the composition, a larger composition of audit committee, as we believe that the more advice we can get from qualified and experienced persons in this field, the better for council, in terms of us being open and transparent and having the full information around our audit risks and our strategic risks. We recognise that we have 2 members that have been providing advice, and their terms expired with the old council, but due to timing, we are inviting them to the meeting which is scheduled for the 12th of June. We've also reviewed the fees that we pay the audit committee just briefly and have asked for further information from officers so that we can ensure that we provide fees that are comparable to similar sized councils to make sure we attract the best interests and the best qualified persons to assist us to manage our audit risks. For that reason, we are, I'm moving this.
Thanks, Councillor Brumpton. Speaker against. Further speaker for.
Can I suggest a small amendment?
Sure.
Just tell me if this is appropriate or not. But in point 5, could we say thank Michael Booth and John Perry for their contribution and resolve to... I just feel what I'm trying to add in is a thank you because, as you pointed out when you were talking, it is their term finished. But I'd like to thank them for their time and contribution.
You're proposing that?
Yeah, fine. Thank you for their
The
contribution.
mover's happy with that. You're obviously seconding it.
Thanks, Kel's just tidying this up for us. Perry for their contribution and resolve, for them to attend. Yeah. Do you think that by putting that in the resolution, CEO, that would be a letter of thanks?
Yep. No, I can. Yep, definitely.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. Any further speakers for the resolution? There's not. I'll put that. All in favour? That's carried 7 votes to 0. Just before we go back to the item at hand, I'll just adjourn the meeting for a second. Thanks, Nikita. First of all, I understand there's an item to add to the agenda. Councillor Hancock.
I move that new item. I move that we add item L1, Mitchell Meals on Wheels correspondence, to the agenda.
Be added to that. Thanks, Councillor Hancock. Is there a seconder for that? There is. Councillor Vincent. Does the mover wish to speak? I might add it. No. I'll put that. I'll put the motion. All in favour? That's carried. So item L1, Mitchell Meals on Wheels correspondence, has been added to the agenda. Do I have a mover for item L1, Mitchell Meals on Wheels correspondence? I do. Councillor Brumpton.
I move that Council authorise the Acting Mayor to write to the South West Hospital Health Board expressing our concerns regarding the increases to the cost of providing meals to Mitchell Meals on Wheels and their clients, and foreshadow equal concerns regarding any further increases that may be planned for Surat Meals on Wheels and their clients.
Thanks very much, Councillor Brumpton. Is there a seconder for that motion? There is. Councillor Vincent. Does the mover wish to speak? Does anyone wish to speak?
I'll speak.
Councillor Vincent.
Yeah, I just support some more advocacy on behalf of our communities to the South West Hospital and Health Board. They've raised these concerns with us, and as their council, I have no issues in asking the Acting Mayor to write a letter on their behalf seeking further clarification and consideration.
Thanks, Councillor Vincent. Any other further contributions? I'll speak. I'm in favour of this. The Secretary of the Mitchell Meals on Wheels met with Mayor Taylor and myself when we were in Mitchell the other day and raised these concerns. We encouraged her to do 2 things. One, to write to the Hospital and Health Service directly and to write to Council. We've now got that correspondence from Mitchell Meals on Wheels with the details of their concerns. And I think it is really important, as Councillor Vincent said, that when community come to Council to advocate on their behalf, that we do put the weight of the entire Maranoa behind issues. This will be concerning to the client base of Mitchell Meals on Wheels. And equally, I think we need to implore South West Hospital and Health Service, if they are considering further increases in the township of Surat and the client base there, that we get ahead of the game and voice our concerns if there are significant increases, acknowledging that the cost of delivering services across the whole economy has gone up, but where they can, and particularly for people that are accessing services like Meals on Wheels, we keep it and advocate to keep that as low as possible. So I'm happy to support this. Are there any further contributions, councillors? Does the mover wish to sum up? No. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? That's carried 7 votes to 0. We want to go back to C2, which Councillor Flynn has previously indicated that he had a conflict on. We've made the decision where we're just going to add a statement of reason.
Acting Mayor, you're correct. We don't need a statement of reason on this because it says that it's as presented, and we were presented with options. We chose one of those options.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. No statement of reason needed. Everyone's happy with that. With that, can you ask Councillor Flynn to come back, please, sure. Councillor Hancock? Thanks very much, Councillor Flynn. Kel, I think we've covered everything today. Cam, nothing more. Are there any other matters councillors wish to raise? There not being. Thanks very much, councillors, for being so courteous for the first meeting I've chaired in its entirety as a councillor. I hope it went as well from your end as I feel that it went up all right from up here under the circumstances. I'll close how I open. We are all very much thinking of Mayor Taylor at this time, and we will wrap our arms around her to ensure that she comes to terms with the loss of Peter, and Wendy will resume duties when she is ready, and we're there to support her when she does that as well. With that, I'll close the meeting, councillors, and enjoy the rest of your evening.